It is Saturday, August 1st, and launch week is officially behind me. I checked the tracking for my first order, and I do see that my customer has received it. I haven't heard anything from her yet, and she hasn't left a review or anything. I'm sure I'll probably hear from her eventually, but I'm like at the edge of my seat, like, oh, what did she think? To recap this week, it has been exciting, it has been emotional, and it has been exhausting. The launch honestly had nothing to do with it. It was really just a bunch of things that I was dealing with personally outside of Tempered Earth. I finally ended up making a very important phone call regarding the POD account that my late grandfather left for me. And so hopefully that brings a little bit of breathing room. I think as my nervous system has kind of settled, the biggest thing that I've noticed is that now my mind is finally starting to veer back into that creative space. Obviously, with a shop launch comes the build up toward the launch, right? Creating the listings, taking the product photos, making sure that you have the correct packaging, making sure that shipping is in line, getting your marketing together, making sure that your inventory is where it needs to be. And so I feel like for weeks, I wasn't really thinking much about making jewelry. I was honestly just in this place where I was thinking about everything that had to happen before anybody could even see it. For the first time in weeks, I'm not thinking about what needs to get done. I'm thinking more so about what wants to be made. I shifted things around in my room in the past 2 months, and so I have my desk set up in a corner that faces away from my bed. I love it there. I feel like when I'm in that corner, I can really just kind of zone out because it's like I kind of put blinders on. But I'm thinking that I want to put a cork board above the desk so that the desk becomes a hybrid like computer workspace, but also my jewelry bench.
I plan on releasing offering number 2 in the fall, so I've started pulling together my thoughts and ideas for that. Right now, I'm mostly just paying attention to what colors, textures, and materials catch my eye and saving them for later. I've learned not to force that part of the process because that's usually where the strongest ideas come from. It's also what got me thinking about doing little one-off releases I'm calling intervals. Sometimes I'll come up with an idea that doesn't really fit into a seasonal collection, but I still want to make it at some point. So I'm saving ideas for those too and just seeing what develops.
That was order number 2, which was actually from an acquaintance of mine in New York City. She actually used to shop when I was so eclectic. It was another attunement necklace. The first order was an attunement necklace, and this order was an attunement necklace. So I think I have a limited amount of supplies left to be able to make a few more. So I might do a drop of one more replenishment, and then that's it. I won't be producing it again. But yeah, very grateful. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. So the money finally came. The
PUD funds that my grandfather left for me hit my account last night. I want to say around 9 p.m. And I think I checked my bank account more times over the last week than I would like to admit. When it finally happened, I definitely felt relieved, but not quite in the way that I expected. You know, I think I spent so much time just thinking about all the things that I wanted to buy for the studio, from better tools to more materials, you know, things for offering number 2. And once the money actually got there, I realized that that actually wasn't the direction that I was meant to go in. And that money landing wasn't about going on a major shopping spree as much as I wanted to. It was more so about being able to breathe. Last night around 8 o'clock, the money actually still wasn't there. And when I had spoken to the representative who was helping me at the bank last Friday, she had told me that she expected me to see it by Wednesday, August 5th. So with yesterday being Thursday, August 6th, and the money still not being there, I started to wonder like, what's going on? And I just sat and had a really quiet conversation with my grandfather and my ancestors to ask them what was going on, because I just had this intuitive feeling that there was something that they wanted me to see or understand before that money actually landed. I started to very clearly feel and hear this message of, we just want to make sure that you have a solid plan for this money before it arrives, because what you are about to receive is going to be just enough to float you through the rest of this month. So I was like, all right, cool, heard you. So I made this high level plan, and I want to say it was like a little bit after 9 at this point. And I guess my banking app was still open from when I was taking a glance, you know, the hour before. Because when I unlocked my phone, the app automatically opened and refreshed, and all of a sudden the money was there. I kid you not. And I feel like you can say that's a coincidence. I'm someone who really doesn't believe in coincidences in situations like this. And so I feel like my grandfather just wanted to sit down and have this conversation before the money landed, just to make sure, like, I'm providing you with what you need in this moment. I just want to make sure that you don't mess it up. It felt so good to be able to pay my bills and catch up on taxes. My phone had gotten turned off, so I got that turned back on. I feel like I have a little bit of room again. Obviously, I have no idea what's going to happen after this month, but I know I'm good for this month. So I'm just trying to stay present more than anything else. Besides helping me to catch up financially, this money is also allowing me to show up differently. Naturally, I've been thinking a lot about sustainability lately, and I don't just mean like purchasing sustainable materials or making smart purchases. I mean sustainability when it comes to me and how I show up and how I distribute my energy. Because it's really hard to make meaningful work when you are constantly worried about surviving. It's so hard, you know, when you're thinking about overdrafts, when you're thinking about late bills, there's just not a lot of space left for creating or coming up with ideas. And I don't think I realized how much creative energy that living in survival mode was truly taking from me. So now that I'm not in this space, without trying to predict where I'll be 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, I think what this blessing, because it truly is a blessing, I think what this blessing from my grandfather really gave me in this moment was the ability to show up fully as an artist, to be present as an artist without worry, without distraction, and not just as someone trying to run a business, but as someone who is truly devoted to their practice and to their craft. And I think that's one of the best things that I could invest in for Tempered Earth. Yesterday, before that payment had even come in, I ended up making 2 new pairs of earrings. I finally made a small batch of the Solara earrings. So those are live and available for purchase on the Etsy shop. I also made another pair called Relic. And I honestly wasn't expecting that. I did not wake up yesterday thinking that it was going to be a creation day. I had told myself that this week I was intentionally taking a pause and giving myself some rest. But I think just knowing that I was going to have a little bit of breathing room really allowed me to return to the creation of it all with a different mindset. It goes without saying that I am really grateful for my grandfather. I've just been sitting with how even in the absence of his physical presence, my grandfather is still taking care of me. And I don't know exactly what he would think about Tempered Earth, but I'm sure he probably would look back on that little girl who was making jewelry with her mom for their business, Bead Garden Designs, when she was young. And I'd like to think that he would be happy knowing that part of what he left me is helping me to build something that means so much to me. I still want to buy the tools that I've been looking at. I still want to keep building this studio. I still want to buy all the materials and things that I've been saving and favoriting for offering number 2, and I will absolutely get there. But I don't feel like I have to do everything like right here, right now. I got the necessities. I have a cork board on the way. I got a new jewelry stand so that I have a separate space to store my stock away from my personal jewelry because it's starting to get a little crazy. And I also got an overhead phone mount so that I can start filming my creation process to share on the archive as well as on social media, because I feel like that's been something that's been missing. I think that one thing this experience confirmed for me is that building a jewelry studio isn't just about buying materials or tools or making pieces, but it's also about building a life that allows me to keep returning to the work, resourced and energized and excited to be here, you know? Only time will tell where Tempered Earth goes from here, but I do know how I want to build it, and that is in a way that lets me keep showing up as an artist.